We stopped to right now and we just walked away. We'll be back here next week, cause we just can't wait to play.
Hello, everyone, and come on down. You're the next contestant on ARG Presents. I'm your host, your good buddy, your good pal, amigo Aaron, joined by the man that always presses his luck, the human whammy, aka the Brent.
You've been thinking about that intro for a long
I made
time.
it up
haven't you?
on the fly, sir.
No chance. No chance.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exciting week. It's an exciting week because for once, this wheel is completely in play.
What?
Because this is a wheel of fortune. You get it?
Oh, but
That's right. And unlike actual Wheel of Fortune that Brent can't play because he can't spell,
That's true.
this week we're going to be looking at game show video games. Brent.
Yes.
Game show video games. Now, this is an awesome category.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And it's funny because this week I took a good hard look at a bunch of old game shows just to get in the mood. I'm not the kind of person that necessarily would say I'm a game show fan. I'm not the kind of person that sits around and watches a game show all that often. But every once in a while, I'll sit and I'll watch one. And when I was a kid, I watched the crap out of them. Why? Because that's all that was on every morning of every day. Game shows in the morning, game shows, yes, until noon. Yes, that's all that was on network television because we only got 3 channels. That's why. It was game shows, Lucille Ball. In the early morning, you got the old reruns, the Lucy Show, the Honeymooners, Bewitched, that stuff, and then my 3 Sons, that kind of crap. And then late into the mid morning, like your 9 o'clock a.m. time, that's when the game shows kicked in. When I grew up, we were watching Password and Super Password. We were watching Let's Make a Deal. We were watching the original Wheel of Fortune back in the old days with Chuck Woolery. We were watching the $25,000 or $10,000 pyramid, depending on when you watch it. We were watching Press Your Luck. All those game shows that were on back in the day. That's what we did in the morning. It's all that came on here. And then eventually the game shows would give way to the
soap opera.
Well, sometimes they would have news in the middle of the day. Some networks did, some networks didn't locally. And then the soap operas came home into view. And when you were a little kid, that's when you were done. I'm talking in the summer when you weren't at school.
Yeah.
That's when you had to go outside. I think that's why kids go outside more back in the day because it was the only thing. They had no internet. And the game shows, the cartoons weren't on, so it's time to leave the house. Did you have a fave back in the day?
Well, I only watched really one game show.
Yeah.
And that was Price is Right.
Yeah.
And
what? Only one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. You missed out.
Well, I'm trying to think back because when we were growing up, we had mom and dad both worked.
Yeah.
And so we went to a babysitter either before I was in school or really before I was in school, I went to a babysitter. Afterwards,
who was your babysitter?
Bob and Jack.
Really?
Yeah.
Still? Oh, that's crazy. That was my babysitter too.
So I remember watching The Price is Right with them, but they made it their mission to kind of get me out and about. So I ran a lot of errands during the day in the mornings, and then would watch The Price is Right, and then Jackie would usually sit down and watch the soap operas.
Yeah.
And Bob and I would play with the parakeets or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was really the only game show growing up that I watched on television on a regular basis.
Did you like it?
Oh, I love Price is Right.
What was your favorite game on there?
Oh, I mean, you have to almost go with Cliffhanger.
It's got to be Cliffhanger.
It was always fun to watch them try to putt. That was always a good time.
That was fun, yeah. Yeah.
And then I watched some like kids game shows like Double Dare.
Yeah.
Or the Incan.
I know the
Tomb one.
Yeah.
I watched some of those, but I never like Price is Right every day. I knew from 11 to 12, I was watching Price is Right.
And they dumbed the kid ones down so much.
Well, Aaron, did you see some of the kids on there?
What? The thing is, it's like we used to watch Starcade. That's a game show.
Sure.
The American video game based game show, which we both loved. It used to come on Saturday mornings on TBS.
Yeah.
And we loved that show, but the questions were like, "What color is Pac-Man? Is he yellow or is he off-white?" It's like, I mean, the questions were idiotic and doubled there, and the kids would be so dumb, I'd get angry.
Yeah.
And that made me not want to watch. And plus, I'd spent my whole life watching adult ones, so I was older when those came on too. So that
Sure.
probably
Yeah,
helped,
you were out of the demographic. But I mean, for me, especially
I'm
like
back
double,
in.
especially like Double Dare, it was the quizzes. You know, it was like you're like, just dare them, just double dare them.
Yeah.
Just physical challenge. Don't stop giving us questions. Get out there and get dirty and fall down. That's what we wanted.
When I was a kid, my favorite ones to watch were Joker's Wild, because it was
That
like
was a good one.
It was they had a big huge handle, and it was like a slot
machine. Yeah.
And I remember one time the handle broke off in this chick's hand. It was great. I'll never forget that. And then I used to watch Name That Tune, because Name That Tune was old when they had syndicated for a long time, and so that show, I talked to Boat about this because Boat catches those in rerun. They'll in those days, like the audience and all the contestants would know stuff about music that no one knows now at all.
Yeah.
Like there was this massive knowledge America-wide of these certain standards, and everyone knew them.
Yeah.
And so I just sit there like a dumb guy, like what's happening? But like when these suckers could name the tune of one or two notes, it was pretty impressive.
Well,
like that would do.
Whenever it was that, it was almost always they knew it from the clue.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it'd be like blah 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 blah. One note. It's like, bing. It's like what? That's nothing. There's no way. It's like. Is that Pink Floyd's The Wall?
Yeah. Well, it would never be that.
Yeah.
But I knew some of them, like, 'cause my mom and dad forced me to watch Lord's Welk for a while, so you picked up some music. But I think game shows sort of changed as I was getting older. And you're right, they went to the Double Dare, that kid phase, the Nickelodeon game shows, which sucked. I never liked any of those. And then game shows got lamer, in my opinion.
Well,
as the time went on.
Game shows are an easy thing. If they're popular, they're an easy thing for a network to put on.
I know it's cheap, but I mean, like, you've got Jeopardy, for example, the stalwart game show where it's like brilliant people compete. And the opposite of that is the Deal or No Deal, where there is literally, you're just randomly picking crap. It's like the antithesis of our buddy Jamie. Like, it's just like random crap. It is sort of fun to play, like a video game version.
No, it's not.
I play at the arcade sometimes. I get a big one. It's kind of fun.
No, what is fun about it?
Because you get a lot of game for your money. How about that?
No.
But I mean, it's that game is. I never understood why that one was so popular. What's the one with it's got the British chick that's a real smarty? Is that maybe I don't even remember what that one was called, but it came over from the UK.
Yeah, it's something about like
you're the missing link.
Yeah.
That's you are you are the weakest link. The weakest link.
The missing link will probably
Missing Link the wrestler. I will say that Missing Link the wrestler had a great gimmick. He'd grab the back of his hair and he would headbutt people with his own head, like forcefully. I like that. So there's a lot of game shows to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the game shows that transitioned to video games. Do you remember the first time you played a video game that was based on a game show?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, it would almost certainly would have been one of the Wheel of Fortune ones.
I absolutely remember which one it was. There were three, actually. When I was in computer class in high school, that's why I got to play with the IPS2, the old IBMs.
Right.
VGA, the whole 9 yards. And the first three games I played, no particular order, were Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, and what was the other one? I know there was Jeopardy, Family Feud. Those are the three I played right out of the gate. They were in CGA, and but the thing is, that was the only thing we had to play. So I played those three games over and over. And I've played those. I'm intimate with them to this day.
Yeah.
I played them so much. Do you remember what's the first memory you have of playing one on a computer?
It would have probably been like an NES version of Wheel of Fortune. But the reason, of course, why I don't like those type of game show games, I'm a slow reader and I'm a horrible speller. And all of those,
that's dumb.
All of those are based on how fast can you read the question.
Yeah.
And then buzz in, and then, of course, be able to spell the answer.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly playing a bunch of Quiz and Dragons with you.
Yeah, you know why?
Well, no.
2 reasons why I'm okay with Quiz and Dragons.
Yeah.
There's a timer, So it doesn't really. I mean, yes, you score.
It's exactly
more
like Jeopardy, though.
No,
You have, there's a
you
you have to.
score more points if you ring in early, but everyone can ring in.
Yeah.
It doesn't just. It's not the first one, and it's multiple choice, so you don't have to spell anything.
If you're watching at home, this is the exact Wheel of Fortune I played. You've dug up video. I'm gonna give whoever made this video credit. That's exactly what I played. So look, as games transition into video games, I did some research this week, and it's crazy. But game show games are like one of the first big like hits on like home computers. Like
I can
people
see
wanted to
that.
bring the action home, and I will say a lot of game show games were easy to make because it really wasn't that difficult to translate a lot of these games into like the PC or the
Some of them.
now you can't do them all, and some of them a lot of it depends on your how popular they were.
Yeah.
Obviously not going to bring everything home, but I was surprised, and companies would make like a dozen different games. Everything from $25,000 password to or $25,000 pyramid to super password. Games that you've long forgotten existed,
Yes.
they would be made by them, and they had great success because they were cheap to make too. So I think it was an easy sell.
Oh, sure.
It was not hard to. Well, I went through 3 games before I settled on one because I tried to look at a couple UK games, just to try something different, but I couldn't understand how the game shows worked, and I didn't know any of the trivia. So I said, "Heck with this! I'm going back to American."
So I'm guessing you're going first here.
Would you like me to go first?
Well,
I can do that.
It sounds like you just kind of stepped right on in. So go right ahead.
So and it's funny because I would not say this is one of my favorite game shows, but I did watch it more often than not back in the day. This is a game show that's simply called in America Hollywood Squares.
Yes.
Hollywood Squares. This thing has ran since the beginning of time, the Brent. Now, this was created back in the day by Merrill Heater and Bob Quigley. When I say back in the day, I mean way back in the day. This show first aired in October 17th, 1966, and it's running now. So
That's
now there have
insane.
been breaks. There have been multi-year breaks, but they just renewed or they just re-upped a new version of this show that just came out less than a month ago.
That's crazy.
So to put it in perspective, just on NBC where it originally ran, they had 14 seasons and they had 3,536 episodes of this show filmed. And then there's five almost 600 syndicated shows on the first syndication run, and and over 1,000 on the second syndication run. And then the new one they've ran off 10 episodes so far in the new one. So this game has been around for a long time. In 2013, TV Guide ranked Hollywood Squares the number 7 greatest game show ever. I think that's a pretty decent deal.
That's kind of lofty, but okay.
I don't know. I mean, I also want to mention that the long time there have been, I think, 4 or 5 different hosts, and the long time running super host for back in the day, Peter Marshall from here in West Virginia. Added bonus, I was tiptoeing around, and like about 15 years ago, when they have a thing in Charleston, West Virginia called a festival.
Yep.
They did West Virginia Squares, and this guy came back to host.
That's amazing.
Landau Eugene Murphy III was on there, and you know who else is from here? Remember Janet from Three's Company, Joyce DeWitt?
Yeah.
She was on the show and it's also from West Virginia.
Neat.
So there you go. There's your little tidbit. That's the West Virginia tie-in for Hollywood Squares. So Hollywood Squares, like I said, ran the 60s and the 70s. And the way it works is, for those who've never seen it, they've got like a tower that's a block. It's just think tic-tac-toe board in your head. And in each square is a different celebrity. And I use celebrity in a general sense because it's all over the map.
Yeah.
Muppets have been in there. Guys with puppets have been in there. God knows, I bet The Simpsons or some computer person has been in there. They've had everybody in there. And in the old days, and this has never changed. And the number one celebrity, your wackiest, most personality guy is always the center square.
The center square,
because they get the most action. The 70s and 60s had the number one center square of all time, which is this fellow named Paul Lynde. Paul Lynde was I always loved this guy. He made the show. He was so funny. back in the day. And the way it works, it's a real simple show. You've got two contestants and a host. So the host will say, okay, and you're playing tic-tac-toe against your opponent.
Yeah.
Simple. So the host will be like, okay, which celebrity you want? And they'll be like, okay, I want Paul Lynde in the center. And the host will be like, okay, Paul, and then the question will come out like, surveys have determined that if your baby sucks his thumb past 4 years old, then there may be a problem. And is that true or false? And then Paul Lynde then he'll have a joke. Oh, some kind of wacky
All babies are
comment.
problems.
Right, exactly. That's perfect. It's like all babies are problems. You gotta say it like that. And then the contestant, whoever's turned it, will say, "I agree" or "I disagree."
No, they'll give a joke answer and then give a real answer.
Yeah, he'll give the joke answer, be like, "I think that's true," and then the lady or whoever is the contestant will be like, "I agree." And if they're right, they get their circle or square in that block, and if they're wrong, the other guy gets the block. Okay. Simple game.
Yeah.
That's the whole game.
Yeah.
In the mid 70s on, they added this thing called the secret square, and the secret square.
Stop. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's secret square. Just if you. So I don't know if this is the way it worked in the real show. We'll get into how it works in the game, but it's a secret square that you get money for if you find it. Okay.
It's the same way.
And then whoever gets the most money, and the end of Hollywood Squares has changed over the years significantly. At one point, you just took the money. Then they've had other stuff, and then at some points, they would have keys to a car.
Yep.
They'd have a car on stage. You'd be like, okay, here's your key.
Oh yeah, you choose a key like 1 through 5.
Right at the beginning of the week, and then if it didn't work in the car, then you would go back, and if you won the next day, they'd give you the next key. There'll be 4. And you keep doing it till the key starts the car, and then you win.
I mean, you can win on Monday, and then you're off the show.
Right.
Or if you keep winning, you can win on Wednesday or Thursday. And if you actually win every day of the week, so 5 days,
right,
you're guaranteed to get the car because there's only one key.
So there were tons of just real quick before we move to the actual game. They're like just to show you some of the people that played the center square and played on the show. The center squares were like Waylon Flowers, if you remember who that is, I do, was the center square. Jim J. Bullock, Whoopi Goldberg, Ellen DeGeneres was the center square for a while, Martin Mull. And then eventually, in the new one, get this. So it's funny, when you produce the show, I guess you could book yourself, because when Whoopi produced it, Whoopi Goldberg, she made herself center square. Now, Drew Barrymore is producing the show, so now Drew Barrymore. Now, I don't know how you pick Drew Barrymore as the center square, but hey, she's making the show. Added bonus, you know who hosts the new show? Nate Burleson, which I believe is a football player.
Oh, there you go.
It's a weird choice.
Well, I mean, hosting the show is pretty easy.
And just to summarize, they've made well over 3,000 episodes, but they don't have them all. A lot of them got lost, so thousands are probably gone. But sorry, but there's still a lot of them out there. You won't run out of Hollywood Squares to watch. So with all that said, let's turn our attention to the game, the Hollywood Squares, which was released in 1988. Which is well into the system I played it on all these systems, actually. I played this in 1988 on the Commodore 64.
Yep.
But get this, though. In 88, they also released an Apple II version. Think about that, the Apple II in 1988. The Apple II GS, DOS, and the NES all got versions of this game. This was published and developed by GameTech. I mean, GameTech they did I think they published Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the PC. They've done a lot of stuff, GameTech has. But back in the day, they were into these game show games. They did Candyland, Shoots and Ladders, Double Dare, Wheel of Fortune, Price is Right, Press Your Luck, Super Password. They did a game called Sorry, or they did Sorry, and then they did a game called School Bus Driver. I don't know how that got in there. And here's my favorite game they did: Little People Bowling Alley. What that is? That sounds great. I'm putting that on the list for sure. This was copywritten by IJE Inc., who also copyrighted all the other stuff that they did. Coded by Chip Buckley. Yes, and he only has one credit I could find. He did Hollywood Squares on the Apple II as well. And then the other coder, Dale Hubbard, did Shoots and Ladders for DOS and Hollywood Squares for DOS on the Apple II. So these guys are sort of like a team. This is an odd game for the C64 in that it's a two-sided game. You have to flip the disc.
Yep.
You also have to play this with the keyboard.
Yep.
Which that's pretty unusual for the C64. So when this game comes up, it just comes up with a very quick screen that tells you the information about who made it and stuff. And then bam, you're out there.
I don't know about quick, but go ahead.
And then so this is one game where you never. It's pretty much the scene changes never until you get to the car. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you've got the contestants with the host in the middle. They're at the little podiums like on the show. And then to their right is the world's smallest Hollywood Square set up with your celebrities in it. The celebrities are Alec, Greg, Tony, Beth, Dale, Pam, Chip, Ellen, and Mark. All right. The problem is none of these are real celebrities.
No, they're just names.
So I could not figure that out. You can't make up a name or something. You just put regular names. You'll notice that none of these names. I mean, that's lame. It's Hollywood Squares. How many times you went to see Pam in her Hollywood days? Never. How many? So, anyways, here's how the game works. You pick one or two players, and if you pick one, it says all by yourself, eh?
Yeah, it makes you feel bad.
Yeah, it does. And then you pick male or female, and then it just you're a bald guy.
Yeah.
Those are your choice. You don't get any choice. You do get to put your name in, and then you're off to play the game. Now, you can say what you will about Hollywood Squares. It's
All
got
right.
hold on. It's got a god awful attempt at the theme song, but it is an attempt of the '80s theme song. Okay, I assume that the host sort of looked like John Davison, whoever was hosting, but he didn't look like. He just looked like it never named the host. And when you pick it's your turn, it'll say pick a star. And so
Celebrity, yeah.
and so how do you pick a celebrity? Because all their names have different starting letters. So if you want, say, Dale, you hit D, and on the keyboard, then Dale Square will light up. They'll ask the question. Dale will make a quip. Then his square blinks, and it goes. Hit spacebar now. You have to hit it.
You have to acknowledge that you saw the bad pun.
That's right.
You have to.
Now, I will say, I'll get back to the pun. So once you chime in, it'll say, do you agree or disagree with what the celebrity said?
Because he'll give a real answer.
Right. And then you pick what you say. So if you're right, you get your shape in that square. If you're playing by yourself, you're X. And if you're wrong, your opponent gets the square.
Yeah, just like the game.
So, and then it's the opponent's turn, and the opponent is always Micro Boy in the version I had. I'm assuming that's you're not moving up the ranks in this. And Micro Kid, that's his name. Micro Kid is this little dork, and he'll play, but he's not. He'll get some of them right.
Get most of them right, yeah.
And you go back and forth until you fill up the board. No one wins that way, or you complete a tic-tac-toe, or the kid that completes a tic-tac-toe. You play 3 rounds. Whoever has earned the most money at the end of the 3rd round gets to go for the car. Now, we mentioned the secret square. It comes on board in the 2nd round. The secret square is garbage. For example, we played a game where the micro kid hadn't answered a single one. I swept the 1st round. I'm up by $500, the most you can pretty much get.
Yes.
And then on his turn, he hit the secret square, still got the question wrong, still got $1,000, and was in the lead. I still came back to beat him, but I was infuriated. So the secret square is lame, and all it is you don't have to even answer the question.
Yeah, it's random 1 through 9. You might get it. It's usually it's never. I don't think it's ever the center square.
Right. I don't know. I mean, who could say ever? Who knows? I don't know how many games you play of this, but so once you've played 3 rounds, it adds up your scores, and whoever's got has earned the most money wins, even if you guys tied in every game. And then it's time to go for the car. Now the car looks like it's like if a remedial idiot used paint to design the Tesla truck, and it's pink. Did I mention that? I mean, it looks like it's hard to believe that these guys put that shape of a car in the game. It's
really bad.
We could do better, and we suck. And then you get to pick which type of car you want. There's a sports car. There's a station wagon. I had to lose to Micro Kid in my first game, and that dork got to the final round and chose station wagon. I thought, man, what a dork! And then he won the station wagon. There's a 4x4 truck. I know there's a couple. There's
Yeah.
5 cars. So when you pick a key, like I never won the car. I did see him win it, but I didn't win it.
It's the exact same.
And then once that's over with, if you made the high score thing, you get to put your name in the high score table where it just puts it there. Then you hit space bar, start over. That's the game. What did you think?
Well, I mean, you pretty much nailed it, spot on.
Yeah.
That's all the things that happen. The one thing I will add is if you tie, they will ask one tiebreaker question, and for me, it was always my opponent. It was never me getting asked a question.
Really? I never tied.
If they get it right, you're helpless.
Yeah.
You just have to space bar past the bad pun and keep going.
Yeah.
If they get it right, which they always did, they win.
Yeah.
Full stop. So I never got to go for the car because I only played this twice.
Oh,
And here's why.
this is one game where I'm okay with that.
And here's why.
Yeah.
This is I have to assume, and I'm no programming genius, but I'm going to have to assume that this was written in some kind of basic language.
I mean, it looks okay.
No, I didn't say it looked bad, but it draws out every line every time.
Yeah, it does refresh rather slowly.
And there were plenty of times when it was WizKid's turn, and I thought the game
Micro Kid.
Yeah, him too. I thought the game had just crashed because and then it will print like at the bottom.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, okay.
The worst thing is when you hit spacebar and it's taken so long to refresh that you hit it again because it's still written at the bottom of the screen. It hadn't gotten down there to refresh yet.
Well, here's problem number 2 with the game. It will hold every keystroke you do.
Yeah. Yep.
And you have to A, agree, or D, disagree with every answer. And unfortunately, Alec and Dale are both on the board. So if you hit a button like agree, come on, agree. Well, when you go back to the board to select a letter, Alec's like, all right, it's my time to shine. It's like, no. That is why I always lost.
I was very patient. I didn't have any trouble with that, but I'm not surprised.
So those are pretty. I mean, if this game was sitting on the shelf for $2, right, back in the 80s or whatever,
Yeah.
fine purchase.
Yeah.
Okay, because at the end of the day, it does what it says on the tin, and it lets you play Hollywood in quotes squares. Okay,
Yeah.
all the elements of the game are there.
Yeah.
But the game has flaws. Having to now I never got any repeat quips.
I didn't
but
either.
I only played 2 games.
Well, yeah. I would hope you didn't.
Some of the questions
Are hard.
are pretty bonehead,
Yeah.
and you'll often get the Hollywood Square will be answering true or false questions. Well, I mean that's so lame. But a lot of the questions they'll give some form of actual answer. And it's interesting. The questions are very out there.
Yeah.
They reference the World Book a ton.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing is a thing in the 80s.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Everyone had a world book at the pad
But
for all these surveys.
this was perfectly fine.
Just a couple things on the original actual show. Like they would for example, if Rich Little, you know who Rich Little is? If Rich Little was on the show, they would ask him questions about different celebrities. I saw Wiki mention this, and they're right. And so that way, Rich Little could do his act.
Yeah.
He'd be like, hey, we need to be
impersonate.
Bob Hope
Yeah.
or Ronald Reagan, And then they would ask, remember Bobcat Goldthwait was on there? You remember him?
Yeah.
He was on there for a while. They would ask him stuff, crazy questions or questions about animals, because he's a crazy guy. So you lose that with not having the celebrities and stuff.
Sure.
I wish they would have made up fake celebrities. This is lazy. So that aspect of it lazy. With all that said, though, the quips, I'm not going to lie to you, the quips, they got me a few times.
Some of them are pretty good.
I chuckled pretty hard at some of these. Some of these are no longer appropriate.
Yes.
Also,
Yes.
I will mention that both our games, I was surprised that both of them referenced the Ayatollah. That was surprising to me. I really was shocked that both games referenced them. So that was wacky. But yes, if you just want to play some straight up Hollywood squares,
Slowly.
you can't. You can't do any worse.
If you want to do it very slowly.
I didn't look at this on any of the other systems because, as far as I'm concerned, this one got it right. That's all you need.
Well,
That's all you need to know.
okay.
Um,
I believe we got a review.
we
Aaron.
did, but I did get some. I did grab some receptions about this game from a couple websites. So,
Sure.
the Computer Gazette said that any fans of these TV games will enjoy the C64 versions, and even if you're not a fan, we think you'll get a kick out of these games. This is when they packaged this with Double Dare, if you can believe it. Jeff Holbert from Run Magazine he liked it. He said 3 in a row for Hollywood Squares, so not too bad. And I love this one. This isn't about the C64 version, but it's from the Game Player's Encyclopedia Nintendo Games, Leslie Miziel. Hollywood Squares doesn't have the necessary substance to be a video game that remains enjoyable with repeated playing. That's such a sterile response. She's not wrong. We did get a review from our good buddy Jocko who chimed in. He said in the UK we got Celebrity Squares, but the same thing more or less. I don't recall seeing a video game of it though, but I can still play the US version anyway. Graphically, it's not that bad. But there are a bunch of non-specific cartoon characters to interact with, and they all have hilarious, in quotes, comebacks to the questions. So if you like the TV show, you will probably have liked the C64 game. Whoops, I just skipped right past.
I was going to say, I can't
That's
believe
it.
that's this entire review.
That's all he wrote. No. This is why I give her touching the keyboard for just a second. However,
Here it is.
however, being British, and he spelled it British, there are a lot of U.S.-centric pop culture questions, and I wasn't aware that some of the things, what even some of the things were, so I got a lot of them wrong.
Don't feel bad, Pajako. I didn't know some of the crap either.
There's a hole-in-one trick question where either answer could have been correct. I don't know. Maybe you just don't have the American knowledge. I did
Thank God for that.
get this though. I did manage to quote unquote win the car,
Hey.
and I got what is basically the same my kid drew at the school car, but called the convertible. That was not in any way a convertible. All this is fun for a little while, but it's really slow and tedious to get through this after a couple games. Press space. Pro tip: whack on turbo mode and emulation for a more quote unquote fun experience. For what it's worth, for what it is, a cheap, quick TV show to tie-in crash grab. It does the job well. I can imagine the questions will begin to repeat eventually, so it will have limited playability. Maybe 2-player with a friend might be more fun. Question mark? Overall, too much waiting around and too slow to be fun in the long term. 6 out of 10. P.S. The question was about famous people pairs. Cain and Abel, Sodom and Gomorrah, David and blank. My celebrity said Goliath, and I agree. The answer was, in fact, Bathsheba.
Yeah,
David and Bathsheba.
Those are brothers, aren't they?
Who?
Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were referring to brothers, not.
Oh, so you're debunking his failure?
Oh no,
His excuse?
I
It
don't
sounds
know
like
that's
you debunked
100%
it.
true.
No, listen. I believe Brit. When it comes to the Bible, you're as holy as they come, brother. Just one last thing. I did look this up on eBay, if you can believe it, and there were some for sale. If you want to get this complete in the box, there's a couple of best offers out there, starting at $34 and $28. And if you just want the disc, double-sided, $7. I will say I was surprised this took both sides of a disc. So I'm assuming it's a bunch of dialogue.
Yeah,
that's written
the
on
whole
there.
second side of the disc is just text.
Yeah. So there you go. Hollywood Squares. I liked it. It was dumb and stupid. It reminded me how much fun I used to have watching the game.
Yeah, it was not bad. Now, I obviously, whoa, talk about going completely different directions.
As usual, when Brent heard game show hit, it's like, what's the most goofy direction I could take this? And you did.
American Gladiators.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron, American Gladiators. I'm sure you watched this. Everyone watched this.
I did. I used to watch this crap. I used to watch it directly before I watched Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Now, can you believe, Aaron, that this ran for 7 seasons.
And then
American
they brought it
Gladiators.
back a couple times.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
we're going to get to that. The game, the game show, for those that are not familiar, this is like if the Double Dare physical challenges got turned up to 11 and given to adults.
Well, with less slop and more physical pain.
Um, 2 contestants, 2 pairs of contestants, 2 guys and 2 girls compete to in different physical challenges to try to win points. And they don't compete against each other. I mean, their scores do.
No, they do. Well, I mean, they do. Well, yeah, I know where you're going. Go ahead.
But they compete against the gladiators, and the gladiators are all men and women who are all jacked to the 9.
Yeah. They're on the juice, brother. They're on the gas.
Intimidating as heck. And they did rotate these people out every once in a while, but there were a few mainstays like Nitro. I think was in it for a long time.
My personal favorite was the chicks was Lace, and she's in the game. I was pleased to see she made the game.
Zap. I mean, all your classic.
That guy was a geek.
All your
Zap
classic,
Rasdown.
all your Viper was one that was in the show.
That was a chick, wasn't it?
So you've got all these crazy people, and then the challenges that you go up against are it's not like let's see if you can throw a ball faster. No. For like example, one of them is joust, where you are put onto a pedestal with a man, and you both have clubs.
But they're called punchy sticks or whatever.
And you beat each other without mercy until one of you falls off the pedestal.
You do get headgear, to be fair. You get the head thing and the mouthpiece.
And you knock each other until one of you falls from the pedestal down into the abyss, which at least is foam covered.
Yeah, at least in the show. The game is way different. Everything in this game is way more violent than the show.
We'll certainly get to that. Another example of a game has you Tarzaning on a rope, and you have to, it's called Human Cannonball.
Yep.
You ride on the rope, and then you have to physically fling your body from the rope using momentum to crash into the gladiator, who has this big puffy riot shield.
Yeah. Exactly. I couldn't describe it better. That's exactly what it is.
Now, the bad thing that can happen for this,
and he's on a podium. Don't forget that.
That's right. That's right. Because your goal is either to knock him off or make him fall off the podium.
Yeah.
So what I remember very vividly from watching the show, because you're on this huge rope, you swing across, you get one shot. You just have to let go of the rope and basically pray.
Yeah.
Right? I saw so many people gut first into that platform, and then they're just standing there, and the gladiator's like looming over them. And if they're holding on, the gladiator will just take his little rat shield and just push them off. But most of the time, they hit it at full force and fall to their certain doom.
I like when they go with these little chicks on the show, and she comes up against one of these big monster women, and she bounces off of her like she's hitting a brick wall. And sometimes it's the guys. Like, these women are immovable objects, and the men, too.
So, there's about, I don't know, in the actual show, there's about 10 or 12 different events.
Yeah.
And they rotate out depending
and some of
on
them
the
get
season.
retired, depending how violent they are.
And depending on what episode they're on.
Yeah.
So, and then after they do all that, I guess I should finish up the end of this. Then you run the gladiator course.
Yeah.
Which has a bunch of this upper body strength crap.
They usually have to go on a hand bike, and you have to go over a balance when they're throwing crap at you. Then you have to climb up a cargo net. Then you use one of those zip lines. And then the worst part is there's a little like foam maze that you have to run through to finish. And the gladiators are down there. And they're behind these doors. And like if the gladiators don't want you to win, and they often will they pick a winner like this.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of the big guys will just murder whoever comes to the door and just hold them down and beat them. There's a lot of cheating in this game.
And the way that the last course works is you and your opponent, through all the games, depending on how well you do, that's how much of a head start you get in the final event.
The points equal time.
So, I mean, some people, it's usually you end pretty close to each other, so you might have a 1 or 2 second head start, but some people have like 20-second head start.
Yeah.
Like they're zipping down the zip line before the other guy's even off the starting line.
Although I've seen so many times the guy with an insurmountable lead lose.
Yeah,
And
well,
sometimes because the gladiators are like, screw you, I'm for the death.
yes. So
Or they just get hung up on a thing they can't do. Like, I can't get
Yes.
up a cargo net. I'm a big idiot.
Yes.
That's that stuff.
yes. So
Not like I could get up one.
the NES version of this chose 5 events,
Yeah.
and which kind of sucks.
It bums it. I can't believe they didn't put the Eliminator as one of the events. That sucks.
What if the final thing?
Yeah.
They did.
They did?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't think they were that dumb.
So, your choices are assault. And assault,
That's way different, too.
you are running from. This is in the video game.
Tell them the show version first.
Okay, the show version, you run from station to station where they have weapons put out.
Projectiles.
And think of like a paintball course where you're running. They have like staggered stations, and you're trying to run to the end of a goal, like 100 yards. And each station has some kind of projectile that you're trying to throw or shoot at the gladiator.
There's a shoulder mounted rocket.
Yeah,
These
that's
are all
the
made of
big-
foam.
Yeah, that's the big prize.
There's a crossbow.
Yep.
Then there's when you get to one station, there's like this cannon. You pull a string, and then at the last station, there's just the ball. You throw them like
Just
grenades.
hand grenades. So and the gladiator's job is to shoot you, but they don't shoot you with paintballs.
No.
They shoot you with tennis balls.
And they've got this huge cannon.
Super cannon.
And they stand high above you, and they shoot down, and there's a big target over them that you're trying to hit.
Right. So
It's great.
that's the show.
I've seen people get shot right in the face. It's always a good time.
On the game, it's sort of, yes, it's close. You run from station to station. However, you can take a couple hits before you go down,
Yeah.
and you have to shoot the gladiator 3 or 4 times before he goes down.
Now wait a minute. You're leaving out the key element here that's different.
What's that?
The gladiator menaces you, and he's right in front of you with a huge gun, and he's not standing on anything. He's right in your face.
He does float,
And he never moves. He just is always there.
He does float in space. Never gets closer. Never gets far away because he's already.
You have to shoot him, and you don't shoot the target, and you shoot the guy.
Right.
It's the most of all the events. This is the one that I thought was the furthest from the show.
No, but we'll go on. So that's one event. Another event, and you can choose any of these in any order you want to complete.
Yeah.
Human cannonball. That is where you grab the rope and you try to sling yourself into the gladiator. This is actually fairly well represented.
No, I mean it is. This is like if they took that event and said, "Hey, remember Jungle Hunt? Let's put the beginning in Jungle Hunt because you go across these things. There's not just one in the show. You do it one time.
Yes.
In this, you just keep going like Jungle Hunt. You keep grabbing it. There's gladiators keep going off into the distance.
What the way it works in the game is you swing on the rope once. If you knock the guy off, the screen slides over and then you do it again. That's so yes, you have to take out more gladiators, but that's just to gamify it. The actual event is fairly on point. However,
Wait a minute, no. Also, the platforms go up and down. They didn't do that on the show.
it's close. It's close.
It's nothing like the show, folks.
It's close.
It's great. It's wackier.
Compared to some of the other events, it's close. So the most entertaining thing about this, and this comes into play in some of the other events, if you miss or your guy gets slaughtered, he makes a death scream.
Well, the gladiators do it too when you kill them. Because in this event, you don't just hold onto the rope. You have to jump at the right time to basically super kick them off the rope. And when you do it, they're like, yeah, like they're going into lava. It's a hideous scream. Like the Impossible Mission guy would be afraid of the scream. It's scary.
It takes the Wilhelm scream from Star Wars and cranks it up to 11.
It's great. And every time it comes out, I laugh.
It is by far the highest quality part of the game.
Yes.
The loudest part of the game.
Listen, they made the right call by putting this in there.
And the most disturbing part of the game.
Yes, it's great. And it's very gratifying to see the stupid gladiators scream to their deaths. Like, so long, Turbo, you jerk.
The third event is Joust, and we've already talked about that. You raise up on the platforms. The difference between the game and the show is you have to platform after you knock off your
I was getting ready to
gladiator.
say, you keep acting like these events are just like the show. They're not.
No, this one's
Because in the show, once you knock off the other gladiator, you're on the same little platform. It's over. In this, you have to keep going. You have to time your jump. I died a bunch of times just because I missed the jump. It's like, what's happened? And this game is tough because you have to sort of you have to you have to use the punji stick and advance.
yes.
But man, once you get a guy reeling, it's gratifying just to pound him down.
Every
or
once in a
watch him
while,
die.
every once in a while, you can just beat them to a pulp.
This
Yes.
is like Tron's the Tron disc of Tron, except you don't have discs. You're on a disc and you're pummeling the other guy until he falls off the thing.
So it's nothing like Tron.
Just
Well,
the visual of it. That's what it reminded me of.
the fourth event is called Powerball. This is almost exactly like it plays in the show.
No,
Yes.
no, I disagree with that too.
You you imagine yourself in a small arena. There are 5 buckets laid out like a 5 on a playing card
You
With-
mean on a die?
or a die,
Yeah.
same thing. And there are a basketball bin on either side of the court that you
Yeah.
grab a ball in and then you try to put it in the bucket. And there are 3 gladiators trying to stop you from doing this.
This is an event in the real game where the gladiators are more than happy to murder you.
Yes. And the thing, most gladiators are okay until you tick them off.
Yeah.
And then they will kill you. And I mean, like,
Or if
fights,
you're scoring on them a lot.
if fights break out, it's pretty awesome. But
They'll also put you into the side of the wall too on this event.
the way this works in the game is you have to score each corner, and then the middle one will actually give you an extra life. And then they reset and you do it again. How is this? I mean, that's pretty much
Well,
how
in
the
the
works.
show, I don't know. I never played 2 players. This I don't know if it's something in the show. You're both contestants are going at the same time,
Right, but that's the only difference.
You know,
So
well, I
that's-
mean, yeah, but it makes a difference when you're because the gladiators now in this version they just all come after you. You're like ah.
And then the last event is called the wall.
This event's insane.
In the show, on the wall, it's a climber's wall, so it's got the parts poking out that you can actually climb up it.
Yeah,
It sometimes goes degrees past vertical, so you're hanging off the wall
Does
as you
it?
go up. Yeah.
okay.
And your goal is to get to the top. And you get a head start on the gladiators. It's usually like 10 seconds or something. And then the gladiators get to chase after you up the wall. And if they get to you, they can grab your leg and throw you off.
It's just one gladiator because
One gladiator
they usually do
per
this,
contestant.
yeah they usually do 2 at a time on
Yes.
this one too.
So
Also in the show, you've got safety harnesses. Not in this game. You die in this game.
So in the NES game, you still are climbing a wall.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the wall is also a maze.
Yes.
And they didn't send 2 gladiators after you. They sent an endless amount of gladiators
Sometimes
after
they
you.
just show up.
Sometimes they climb up from the bottom. Sometimes they climb down from the top.
The going up the wall reminded me of navigating the first level of Xenon 2. It's like, man, I went the wrong way. And the thing is, you have to track and field your way up
Yes.
the thing.
To move, you have to alternate A and B buttons. It's a incredible, and the wall is not small. It's
No.
gargantuan.
Did you ever get up to the top?
And when you finish a wall, another wall is
Oh my-
waiting for you on the other side. You have
This-
to do
This is
3
one of
walls.
this is the biggest shortcoming of this game. For example, when I was playing the joust,
Yep.
like every time you get 5 lives, all right?
Yes.
And so every time you die on the joust, you can start whatever you get to keep going,
Yeah.
but somewhere. But
Yeah.
the thing is, if you're playing the joust, you basically you just it never ends. Like it's because you have 90 seconds. It's an eternity on the joust.
Well,
And a lot of the games are like that. Just like it takes. You're like, oh, I don't want to do this again.
you
It
have
takes
to,
so long.
yeah, you have to beat like 4 gladiators before you move on. So Aaron was saying, no, the eliminator's not
Yeah.
in the game.
I
It's
never
in the
got to it.
game. That's because you have to complete all 5 events
Ah!
5 times.
Oh, God. Well, I would never see it. Did you ever see it?
No, I mean I watched the video.
Yeah. How's it look?
It's okay. It's as gamed up as the rest of them are. So everything, a lot of what makes the show good is in the game, right? It's got the gladiators, it's got the events. It doesn't have all the events, but it has an episode's worth of events.
Yeah.
And it would be okay if it wasn't. Some events I can pass every time, no problem. Powerball, no problem.
I can at least score in that one.
The
Shoot the guy, the assault.
the assault, yeah,
Yeah.
I can get that about every time.
Yeah.
But things like the joust, no,
I mean, I'm okay at the joust, but just
I can't beat them 4 times.
No, that's that's what I'm talking about, or the cannonball.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, if you miss time one jump, you just fly to your death.
Yeah, I mean, and you get to hear the scream, which is nice.
But after a while, you hear it a lot.
And some of these events are just they're too long and they're too hard, and some of them are the fair difficulty and a decent pace. But when you have to do all of them, it sucks and it drains your will to play the game.
Yeah.
The gladiators do get these glamour shots with their names real big and bold, and they look awesome.
And the logo's nice when it comes up.
Yeah.
Although you have to watch it every time you lose.
Yeah.
That's not as good.
The graphics in the game for a NES are okay.
Yeah.
They're not great. They're not horrible. There's a lot of black abysses that they could have filled in with some kind of graphics, but they didn't want to muddy it up. The music in this is repetitive. It's not great. The overall play is fine, but it's nothing I'm going to go back to because I know I'm never going to make it to the Eliminator. Now, that said, they released this game a lot on a lot of different systems. And the NES was the first one to come out.
Yeah.
And then in 92, they came out for Amiga and DOS, 93 Genesis, and Super Nintendo.
I will tell you.
And those are different
Yes, they are.
games.
Yeah, I played a couple weeks ago. I did a disaster stream on Amiga games that were based on television shows, and I played this. And it's way more like they tried way more to be like the show.
Yes.
Now, with all that said, I think they had something here. They were dangerously close to having something. First off, I would have retooled the way they did this because I would have made this like a platformer or something. They could have done it because a lot of what they've got here is platforming. Because I mean, they were close to having something fun here because the events at first are sort of fun.
Yeah.
It's not total gar. I was like, man, this is gonna suck, and it does suck.
Yeah.
But it's not like a disaster. It's just like a missed opportunity.
You sort of want it to work out better than it actually does.
Yeah, and I mean, 2 players, this might be fun. You know what I mean? Maybe if you're mono, that might make it a little more fun. Some of the events, though, I would have like the wall. I would have done it that way personally. I mean, it's okay.
Well, there's lots of flaws. We if we sat here and picked out all the flaws,
But I mean,
this would be a 24-hour show.
I will say that this is one of those games. It's like endearingly bad. It's not. It could have been worse. Like this, like Family Feud. Hollywood Squares gave you the ability to sort of play Hollywood Squares. This gives you the ability to do something that I ain't never seen ever. I don't know what this is. It's like if American Gladiators was taking place on Mojo World, then just what you would get.
So I know we've got a review. I'm going to let you punch that up here in a second. The magazines. Now, this is a review for both the NES game and the games that followed. It's a mixture of all of them. Not kind. Not kind. And when I say not kind, I'm talking 4 out of 12, 17 out of 100,
4 out of 12,
19%, 4
out of 12,
11.6 out of 20.
Well, these are weird rating scales.
I'm just telling you what's here. What
was the best one?
The best? Well, there's some homerism here.
Yeah.
Amiga Action gave the Amiga version 80%.
But I'm talking the NES version.
Oh, the absolute for sure. It was for the NES. 3 out of 5 stars.
Okay, that's not bad.
The lowest
60.
The lowest was a 6%.
It's better than that. Come on, 6%.
Go ahead and let's hear the review that we got, and then I've got one more exciting piece of news.
All right. So we've got one here from Pajako. He said we had our own flavor of American Gladiators in the UK called Gladiators, and although it's quite popular, but from what I can tell, we didn't get our own version of the game. We also got American Gladiators. By the way, just an FYI, one of the guys that was on the Gladiators was a guy named Magnus, who ended up working. He wrestled in TNA, and he's now one of the like on-screen commissioners at WWE. So
Yeah,
that's
well,
kinda
there's a
neat.
lot of tie-ins with WWE
Yeah.
and wrestling and American Gladiators.
I'm gonna tell, but I like any other multi-sports title. There's going to be something for everyone. I like human cannonball, powerball, assault, and while the wall was okay, it felt a little too tricky too early on to be fun. Joust, however, had me puzzled. I was trying to work out if there was any skill or was it just button mashing. I managed to win with the extreme button mashing that would have blown up a track and field machine. Graphically, the NES game, the developers did a good job. Gladiator portraits are pretty good likenesses. Sound is pretty good, but what had me in stitches was the scream of your opponent on human cannonball and joust like fall off the podium. It's like you actually killed them for real Mortal Kombat style. They fell into that pit. While I wouldn't play this out of choice, I'd certainly go toe to toe with someone if the chance came up. One tiny annoyance of the game is that you have to wait for the opening animation of the gladiator running across the title screen before you can play. I agree. Overall, for a licensed game, it does well, and I wouldn't have felt too hard done by it if I'd shelled out for it, but it's not really for me. 7 out of 10 on that one to Brent.
Absolutely. Now, Aaron, the exciting little bit of news:
Yeah,
American Gladiators is coming back.
again.
They have a contract with Amazon
Yeah.
that they inked in 2024, and they are currently filming episodes of American Gladiator.
Uh-huh.
So you will be able to watch American Gladiators, Aaron, all over again for the first time.
So this is going to be brand new American Gladiators.
Yes.
It's been revived multiple times. I will say this, Amazon also is having the Mr. Beast and Beast games. You've probably heard about these because tons of people got mauled.
Sure.
So I'd love to see a crossover show where Turbo, Nitro, Lace, Gold, they all beat the tar out of Mr. Beast. If you could do that for me, I'm on, brother.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I'd like to see that. I'd pay a good money to see Mr. Beast on that Joust platform or on Human Cannonballs, where those gladiators coming across the sky. We would hear that scream for real out of that gangly little YouTube beat.
Now, Aaron, you know what is real?
What?
That's the wheel.
Oh, bam. I forgot we were going to do that.
Now,
That's right. This is ARG. This is our brand new game show.
not just sitting around doing stuff. Now, Aaron, I'm not sure what new thing you added to the wheel.
Oh, I added, well, I can't see because you've turned the wheel away from me cunningly. The new thing I added was, let me see here. It's on here. I promise you. Oh, the retro rewind pieces, pinball games from the 90s. Oh, I accidentally added Anaglyph 3D games from L. Curtis Boyle.
What? Why did you add the one thing we agreed we weren't going to add to the
I think
wheel?
I accidentally added. I thought I meant to add one from Dean Bent. Whoops, sorry, everybody. That's it. Right out. You've done it again, genius boy. That one's coming out of the... What you got there?
We've got better on CRT games.
Oh,
recommended
man.
by me.
Boy, what a geek.
Better
okay.
on CRT games, Aaron. That is what we're going to be looking at in the next ARG Presents.
In 2 weeks, mind you, because
Yes.
next week, the retro rotation spins ever forward to R. Sinclair. It's been a piece of time since we played anything on the R. Sinclair, but we're back in the New York groove. And next week, the people have spoken, the Brent.
Oh,
And-
God. Is
and
it
the-
Rainbow?
And the Clubs Club members have selected Dark Scepter. Oh, it's dark. Dark Scepter, which I don't know anything about and have never played. So that should be a lot of fun. That will be next week. And in 2 weeks, we'll be playing games that are better on CRT.
Absolutely.
I do have a CRT, so that works out good for me. You've got nothing. Yeah, you're boned. So I might let you come over.
Well, there you go. All right, Aaron. Got anything else to say to the people?
I don't. Thanks for joining us on a weird day. We'll be back. We'll be back for the Amigas, Everything Amiga show, where you're going to be filling in this week,
Yes.
Fred, for a weird text game. So that'll be a lot of fun.
But
And
you
then-
know my favorite things, reading screens.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And then, of course, next Sunday we'll be back for R. Sinclair. Take us to the house. Good night, everybody.
We got it going. With a spin of the wheel, we'll uncover our fate and stream it to you all in one take. We tend to be loud and we fight. fight quite a bit, but it's an unscripted show, so you get what you get. If we started right now and we just walked away, we'd be back next week, 'cause we just can't wait to play.